Now at 5, from Uptown to South End, 3 robberies in 5 days. One woman just had to walk 2 blocks, but criminals got to her first.
I'm never going to walk home by myself ever again.
How she helped officers make an arrest.
Plus, squeezed between a big rig and a dump truck. The serious crash that closed down I-85 for hours.
And fire in the sky, something burning up in the Earth's atmosphere spotted by thousands across the South. Scientists call this impressive but not rare. This is Eyewitness News at 5 o'clock.
We begin with some breaking news in North Charlotte. A live look from Chopper 9 Sky Zoom. This is the scene where police have responded to a shooting along Statesville Road, right near I-85. Now in this you could see a number of officers right here in the center of your screen. A medic is telling us that one person has been taken to the hospital with life-threatening injuries. At this time, we don't know if police have any suspects. I see that 1 line, 2 lines there of crime scene tape. We are pushing the police, trying to gather more information, and we will update you as soon as we learn more. And now to the series of violent robberies that have happened in and around Uptown.
Innocent people have been targeted by armed suspects in 3 crimes since Saturday.
A white car pulled up to us, 2 men with guns opened the car, came out. They kind of manned us both individually. One was on me, one was on my friend Catherine.
Well, tonight, some of the victims are speaking with Channel 9 as we're learning more about these arrests. Let's bring in veteran reporter Mark Becker for the latest on the robbery in Uptown. Mark?
Well, Scott, it all feels pretty safe right here, right now. In fact, the Charlotte Knights about ready to kick off their season right over here. But these crimes happened late at night, 2 of them in Uptown here, and it started with one in South End. And I spoke with one of those victims a little while ago.
You just don't really actually think that until it actually happens.
But it did actually happen to Julie Newell early Saturday morning. She and her friend had just left a bar and had turned the corner onto West Bland Street when a car pulled up and 2 men with guns got out.
They put guns up to her head, screamed at us, take everything or give us everything that you have, throw everything on the floor.
They took off with a wallet, some cash and car keys, but Newell and her friend were safe. Then 2 nights later, it was Barry Nolan's turn.
I was skating down the street on the way to the train stop.
He was on 3rd Street on his way home from a restaurant job when a young man pushed him off his skateboard.
He pulled up his shirt. It was tucked in his pants. He pointed at my stomach. It's like half a foot away from my body.
They took his cell phone and debit card. And about 15 minutes later, police say those same 2 suspects robbed a waitress here on South Tryon Street. The next day, officers arrested this young man, 20-year-old Sutton Williams, and they're still looking for a 15-year-old who was with him. It's all very unnerving for those who work and live in these popular parts of town, and Julie Newell will tell you it's different now.
I'm never going to walk home by myself ever again, which is something that I did all the time.
Well, now, even with the gun in her face, Julie Newell was calm enough to actually get the tag number of that suspect's car. She gave it to police, and police say that same car was believed to have been involved in an attempted robbery in Gaston County just last night. That certainly gives them somewhere to start with their investigation. Scott?
All right, some quick thinking. Mark Becker live in Uptown. Mark, thank you.
Breaking news right now in a high-profile case. The district attorney has revealed the same shootout that killed a young mother in North Charlotte also sent a bullet into a car that was being driven by the assistant district attorney. And now, in a rare move, the Mecklenburg County DA is going to hand off this case to state prosecutors to ensure that the prosecution remains impartial. 3 people are now charged with the murder of Kendall Crank. She was shot and killed in a shootout while she was driving along the road to school last week. In a statement, the DA's office says it is essential that all involved have trust that the case is objectively and fairly prosecuted.
Outside tonight, it is absolutely gorgeous. As Mark said a moment ago, the Knights have their home opener tonight. Let's check in with our chief meteorologist, Steve Udelson. And you say tonight looks really Moderately good, but some changes overnight.
Yeah, Scott, it is beautiful outside right now. Low to mid 70s. Our high was 76 in Charlotte today. Everywhere east of the mountains were in the 70s, in the 60s out across the high country. As we'd forecast yesterday, starting to see some high clouds spill across the mountains and into the Charlotte area. Now, these high clouds are moisture about 20,000 or so feet up. No rain. That changes, though, once you cross the mountains. And we're going to take a look at the radar and widen it out a little bit. I want you to get an idea as to the size of the front that's working its way in. Look at all the thunder and lightning that's on the map. That's down over Louisiana, Arkansas, and it's going to work its way through the deep south and toward the Carolinas while we sleep tonight. Now, if you have plans to be outside right now, we're A-OK. It's tomorrow that we're going to start to see that front work its way in. Here we are now on our Futurecast. All the rain way to our west, but as we go through tonight, the clouds will start to thicken up. Now, that's going to keep us nice and mild, especially compared to the last few nights. Plan on a wet morning drive. That means allow extra time and grab rain gear through about 9, 10 o'clock. Shades of yellow indicate some fairly heavy downpours. They will work their way east. We start to dry out by lunchtime. As we go through lunchtime tomorrow, things will look a little bit better. As far as that morning drive, 50s with plenty of rain to be falling. I'll show you how much when I come back.
Thank you, Steve. Check out this live shot. The Charlotte Knights set to open up their season in just a couple of hours. You're looking live at this view from BB&T Stadium in Uptown, and it is Thirsty Thursday at the ballpark. That means cheaper sodas, cheaper beer, and craft beer. First pitch set for 7:04 against the Durham Bulls. More breaking news now as Lowe's is cutting 200 jobs from its Charlotte's shipping facility in a large employee shift. Most of the positions at the facility will transition to a third-party vendor. The company is looking for ways to keep those workers with the company. In a separate move, it is also relocating 600 workers from its Wilkesboro location to Mooresville headquarters to support better collaboration. Now, since hiring a new CEO last July, the company has seen a number of shakeups, including laying off 3,000 employees, focusing on the most profitable locations, and creating aggressive hiring plans for its headquarters in Mooresville.
This terrible crash stalled traffic on I-85 for hours today. Now, when Chopper 9 first got over the scene, we could see the box truck and you could see a dump truck. But as we got closer, we came to see this. What's left of this orange or red colored vehicle right there, completely shredded like a tin can. Channel 9's Stephanie Tinoco is live on I-85 in Kannapolis. And Stephanie, the highway is now back open. Looks like it's moving smoothly now.
Hey Scott, well let me show you what it looks like right now. This is I-85 cars going northbound, pretty much what you would expect at this time of day during rush hour, and all lanes have reopened. But now this view is from Chopper 9 Sky Zoom overlooking I-85 northbound near mile marker 62 in Kannapolis earlier today. Here you can clearly see a red SUV crushed between a box truck and a dump truck. State Highway Patrol says a driver in that SUV is from Mint Hill and had to be airlifted to the hospital. Troopers say the 50-year-old man slowed down due to traffic, and that's when a white box truck slammed into the back of him and pinned him between the box truck and another truck. NCDOT says the other truck belongs to them. One of their employees was driving the yellow dump truck, and we're told the box truck driver was cited for not slowing down, and the driver of the red Ford Explorer was also cited for driving with a revoked license. He is expected to survive his injuries. SHP says that no other passengers were inside those vehicles and speed was not a factor in this case. Reporting live from I-85, Stephanie Tinoco, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
Thanks, Steph. Gastonia police say they have not filed charges in a crash that killed a motorcycle rider. Chopper 9 flew over the scene this morning on South New Hope Road near Redbud Road. Police say a tractor trailer was trying to turn onto New Hope Road when Robert Cole crashed into the tractor trailer. Cole died from his injuries, and police are still out there investigating.
A man will spend at least 23 years in prison for raping and killing a homeless woman. Today, Gregory Smith pleaded guilty in the 2016 death of Shannon Littlejohn. Police found her body near West Charlotte High School. This morning, Littlejohn's sister broke down as she tried to explain how her sister's death devastated their family.
I mean, the way she was murdered, I mean, don't nobody deserve that, because look at Charlotte. People prostitute, sell their body all day long. He didn't have to rape her.
Smith's attorney said that he has a learning disability and that may have played a role in the attack.
A West Charlotte community is in shock tonight after a couple was shot inside their home.
Neighbors say the couple had huge hearts and they helped a lot of people. Well, now she has died and he is fighting to survive. Reporter Brianna Harper is live from the neighborhood in West Charlotte tonight. Brianna?
Well, Scott, those who live along Newland Road tell me what they'll remember most about Santa Acevedo is that her husband and her were both community helpers. They tell us that memory is now tainted with tragedy after the couple was killed inside this home you see here behind me, killing one of them.
It was just kind of like a weird, somber feeling.
A neighborhood at a loss. Police say just after 7 o'clock last night, someone fired a gun inside a home on Newland Road, a crime I'm told no one saw coming.
For it to be so many police and people outside, it was literally like you could hear a pin drop, just because everybody just kind of, that was just the last family or house that you would think that kind of thing would happen to.
71-year-old Santa Acevedo was shot and killed. Her husband was also shot. He's now in the hospital fighting for his life.
He's probably like totally defenseless, and as well as his wife, they're in their 70s, so I can't see them even trying to put up a fight, This is really sad.
Neighbors say the couple was well known in the community. Santa would often help the kids at the bus stop when it was cold outside, and her husband could be seen in his wheelchair nearly every day taking the dog for a walk.
A friendly spirit, always waves, says hi, really nice people. I can't really see why somebody would want to, harm them.
This senseless murder is now the 34th homicide in Charlotte this year, and so far no arrests have been made in this case.
Everybody just understands that you can't take back bullets and you can't take back, actions that you do, because it affects more than just you. It affects, a whole community.
And at this point, police have not released any suspect information or a possible motive. Send it back to you.
All right, Brianna, thank you. We have some video that you've got to see tonight. Were you lucky enough to spot this meteor crashing through the atmosphere? Well, tonight, our meteorologist John Ahrens is taking a closer look as scientists investigate what happened.
Yeah, well, if you saw it this morning coming out of your car, you were not alone. I mean, we've gotten pictures all over the place from this, all across the South. In fact, this is a map of all the reports across the mid-Atlantic that saw this. What we want to do is figure out the path that it was heading. This looks a little messy, but you can kind of draw a line of it kind of originating near Charlotte, right around near Lancaster, then traveling east out in the Atlantic before it burned out. Now the question, what was it?
And I could see it was green and purple around the front of the flame.
Just an ordinary routine morning getting ready for work for Monroe resident Carl Helms. He steps out the door, walks to his car, looks up, and...
What was your first reaction?
First reaction was, oh my God, what is this?
He had the quick instinct to grab his phone and record this out-of-this-world video.
Lasted a lot longer than I was, expecting it to.
We caught up with Professor Jack Howard at the Charlotte Astronomers Club.
This is a large object, most likely isolated. It could be a chunk off of an asteroid.
Howard says sites like these aren't necessarily rare. In fact, NASA estimates 48 tons of meteoritic material fall on Earth every day. Carl Helms, the drive to work now will be a little less mundane and terrestrial.
I'd never seen anything like it in my life.
Now, this was a pretty big fireball, not really part of a meteor shower, we don't think. It was on its own, traveled on its own. There was another report of one similar to this back in early April in Florida. NASA investigating it right now. They'll have a full report in the morning.
Lawmakers pushing a bill that would keep Duke Energy from passing on the cost of coal ash cleanup.
I don't think we should have to pay anything for it.
The fight the state could face if the bill passes.
Plus, preying on generosity. Criminals pretending to be charities to pocket your donations. Action 9 investigates how to make sure you know where your money's going.
Fake charities run by con men who prey on your values, and they're also preying on your desire to help others by giving back.
Well, they can seem pretty real. Action 9's Jason Stujanki says they could be, though, just pocketing your donations.
Yeah, that's right. The Federal Trade Commission just shut down 2 of these organizations. It says they were barely spending any of their donations on the actual causes themselves. The Disabled Police and Sheriff's Foundation. It said it was dedicated to police injured or killed in the line of duty. The American Veterans Foundation. It claimed it provided care packages to soldiers overseas.
Actually, neither of those organizations was doing what they were saying, and very little, if none, of the money that consumers gave to them were actually going to the causes they thought they were supporting.
The FTC says the first foundation only spent 1 penny of every dollar raised on officers and their families. The agency says the second foundation spent even less. In 2016, it says that charity only spent 0.1% of all the money it raised on care packages.
This is, millions of dollars that aren't going to help people that really need it.
The FTC is putting both charities out of business. Both were supposed to pay millions of dollars in fines, but don't have the money anymore. So instead, they have to pay 6 figures to real police and veteran charities. So be careful anytime you give to charity. First, of course, research the charity like you would any business. I like using the BBB's website, Charity Navigator and GuideStar. See how they spend their money, how much goes to the cause, and how much goes to things like overhead and executive salaries. Second, take a close look at the name of the so-called charity. Some sound very similar, but they're not. So one, of course, could be a scam. And third, of course, always with anything, be suspicious, especially if a charity approaches you out of the blue or pressures you. Guys?
All right, Jason, thank you. A flu season is not done yet. 7 more people died from the flu in South Carolina last week. 79 people have died so far this season. 2 more died in North Carolina last week, 172 this season. Now, across America, the CDC is reporting up to 46,800 deaths from the flu. 77 of those patients are children. The CDC believes the season peaked in February, but they expect the flu activity to decrease but remain elevated until at least the middle of April.
Look at this view of the Charlotte skyline. It was certainly beautiful outside weather-wise today, and it's turning into a beautiful evening for weather, anything you want to do outside. Let's go to Chief Meteorologist Steve Butelson. Steve, you say you can have your eye on the ball game.
Yeah, it looks like a beautiful evening for baseball, Erica, with fair skies out there. Call this Goldilocks weather. I mean, it's not too warm, not too cold. There's no humidity. We're in the mid-70s right now in the metro, 60s across the high country. Humidity about as low as it gets. Be careful if you're lighting a fire, maybe for the grill this evening. Any embers that disappear, we have got fairly dry ground out there. Knights playing uptown. It's 7:04. As always, the first pitch, and they're taking on the Durham Bulls. 70 degrees for the first pitch, mid-60s as you head out of the stadium back uptown. The weather is absolutely fantastic. I want to take it outside to Matt Harris. Matt, how's it going out there?
Oh, it's beautiful. A beautiful night for baseball on deck here at BB&T Ballpark in Uptown. Just take a look at that skyline. Unbelievable. The Durham Bulls are currently taking batting practice, so let's walk up this way and you can listen to the crack of the bat as they get loose. The Charlotte Knights already had BP, but opening night here in Uptown for the Knights, they're hosting the Durham Bulls. This will be the Knights' 6th season playing here in Uptown. They are expecting a sellout tonight, and the Knights have led the minor leagues in attendance 4 out of the last 5 years, and with this view, that stat certainly makes sense. This being the first of 7 straight home games. We talked to Knights manager Mark Bredzelanek, who's entering his 3rd season here. You'll hear from him coming up at 6, but for now, live at BB&T Ballpark, I'm Matt Harris. Steve?
Hey, thanks, Matt. And when you get out tomorrow morning, remember the freezing temperatures we had just a couple of days ago and that snow? How about lower 50s early tomorrow morning? The only 40s on the map across the high country. Of course, we will be dealing with these showers. There's a fair amount of lightning, some 300 strikes just in the last 5 minutes with this band. It is pushing our way, but because it's coming through very early tomorrow morning, I'm not forecasting the risk of thunder. Now, that doesn't mean we won't see some heavy rain. Charlotte south into the Midlands have the greatest shot of some heavy downpours through about lunchtime, and then the whole system begins to swing on through as you go through the afternoon, and skies will start to clear. A quick hit for rain, but again, as we watch these rain buckets fill up on our Futurecast, an inch or more possible out Highway 74, down Highway 9. In and around Charlotte, I'd say ½ an inch to an inch, and then about another inch up across the high country. Valentine tomorrow, rain chances drop as we go through the day. We'll be in the middle 60s. On toward Gastonia, forecasting a high of 65 with some late day sun. Salisbury manages the mid 60s as well after a pretty soggy start. Let's take you through the weekend. This is worth the wait, my friends. Partly sunny, upper 70s again on Saturday, and on Sunday we're talking about temperatures around 80 degrees, and that's in spite of the fact we'll see a few more clouds and a spotty shower possible in the afternoon. I think the bulk of that waits till Monday when the next front comes in, and because it will be in the 70s, have to include the risk of thunder as well. So we've got some rain tomorrow, rain Monday, and wow, one whale of a weekend.
All right, that'll help with the pollen, but the weekend looks great.
It does.
Absolutely. Thank you, Steve.
The opioid crisis has touched so many lives, and now the state is launching a new effort to prevent deaths in the future.
You can't explain the pain. You know, it's always there.
A grieving mother's message for the community to get involved.
Plus, a teenager emerging out of nowhere claiming to be a boy missing since he was 6 years old. We have breaking developments that just came out moments ago that have shocked everybody in this case. We're still over that breaking news in North Charlotte right now. Police out here looking for clues after a person was shot on Statesville Road near I-85 right there in this parking lot area. We've seen police walking around. They've had police dogs out as well. One person has life-threatening injuries taken from that scene by medic. Channel 9 reporter Glenn Counts is on the scene right now. He'll talk to officers, try to learn more, and we'll check with him coming up in the newscast. This was a bizarre end to a missing boy mystery in Kentucky.
In just the past half hour, the FBI is saying that a young man who claims to be a missing boy named Timothy Pitson is not who he says he is. Now, we're going to take you through this case step by step, but first, we want to show you the tweet that the FBI office in Louisville just put out. A local investigation continues into this person's true identity. To be clear, law enforcement has not and will not forget Timothy, and we hope to one day reunite him with his family. Unfortunately, that day will not be today. Now, if you've been following this case on air and on social media all day, this is a surprising end to all this. A young man was found wandering in Kentucky yesterday, covered in bruises, and he claimed that he had escaped from two kidnappers, and he claims that his name is Timothy Pitson. Well, that is the name of a 6-year-old boy who vanished in 2011 after his mother was found dead in a hotel. Timothy's father says she died by suicide and that she left behind a note saying that Timothy was safe, but that he would never be found.
He walked up to my car and he went, "Can you help me? I just want to get home. Can you just please help me?"
Now, she is quoting what that young man told her yesterday. But again, DNA testing has now confirmed that the person is not Timothy Pitson. The FBI says authorities will continue to look into that person's true identity.
Channel 9 working on all new stories for the next 30 minutes.
Nearly 20 people here in the Huntersville area have been diagnosed with a rare and sometimes deadly eye cancer, but no one knows why. The event bringing patients and doctors from around the country together to find a cause and a cure.
Plus, this man was convicted of killing a UNC Charlotte student and has spent more than a decade fighting for his freedom. The major change that Mark Carver plans to make for the first time since his arrest. This is Mark Carver. A jury convicted him of killing a UNC Charlotte student in a case that made national headlines. But that jury never heard him speak in court. Well, now he is planning to take the stand in a final push for his freedom.
This case involving Ira Yarmolenko, who was found dead, goes back a decade.
Prosecutors say that Mark Carver killed her, but his family maintains that he does not have the mental or physical ability to carry out such a crime. Our Dave Faraday joins us live from Gaston County, the courthouse where Carver's innocence hearing stretched into a third day today. Dave?
Yeah, and Mark Carver's attorney questioned the lead investigator in the case for hours today, even asking at one point who was wearing evidence gloves back in 2008 when they were near the victim's car and her body. Tonight we know Mark Carver will do something he never did during his trial. He will testify for the first time about what he and his cousin Neil Casada were doing when UNCC student Ira Yarmolenko was strangled to death here along the Catawba River. We spoke with his attorney on her way into court today. How is Mark holding up?
He's doing great. He's a positive person. So
Is he going to testify?
He will at some point.
Attorneys for the Center for Actual Innocence are trying to win Carver's freedom, claiming he had ineffective counsel during his trial and wasn't mentally or physically able to commit the crime. Carver, along with his cousin, were fishing along the Catawba River when the murder happened in 2008. Police believe Yarmolenko had come to the river as well to take photos, but never made it back to the campus of UNCC. Some of Carver's DNA was found on the car, but his attorney showed video today of a crime scene investigator appearing to touch the vehicle without wearing evidence gloves.
He didn't even know her.
Nearly 24 family members of Carver showed up at court today. As an investigator from Mount Holly testified, Carver gave different descriptions of Yarmolenko and incorrectly told police how she may have died, after first telling authorities he never met her. Police also admitted there were 24 people at the crime scene, but no log was ever made of those individuals.
In my heart,
what do you feel?
I hope and pray that he'll get through this and get another trial.
And we didn't see any family members of the victim in court today. I can tell you that it's very possible that testimony in this case could last well into next week, Erica.
All right, our Dave Fairdy live for us tonight. Thank you, Dave.
A fleet of bulldozers is now descending on a plant that was once one of Concord's biggest employers. In its heyday, the former Philip Morris plant employed thousands of workers and pumped out billions of cigarettes. I've been inside. It's just massive. Well, now that huge 3.5 million square foot plant is all going to be torn to the ground to make way for a new development. Here's a better look at the area we're talking about. The plant is on Highway 29 at George Liles Parkway, not far from the I-485 loop in Charlotte. It's a 1,600-acre site that developers say they will call the grounds at Concord. Now, they are hoping to eventually attract a tech company there, and they also hope to attract high-paying jobs. The demolition, though, could take the rest of the year.
Doctors, patients, and families from all around the country will be coming together tomorrow to try to find a cause and a cure for a rare but deadly eye cancer called ocular melanoma. Anchor Allison Lottis has been following the efforts to get answers about this for years, and she's live tonight in Huntersville, where much of this story is really centered. Allison?
Erica, I want to put this into perspective. Ocular melanoma normally impacts 5 in a million people, but here in the Huntersville area, there have been nearly 20 cases of this eye cancer. The community is desperate for answers, but they're also determined. And tomorrow, their search for why takes them to Raleigh. Kenny Colbert never shies away from Channel 9 cameras to share the story of his daughter Keenan.
Well, I remember very well the days of living from scan to scan.
Keenan fought ocular melanoma, but the cancer eventually spread to her liver. Next month will mark 5 years since she died. Keenan is one of nearly 20 local people to face that terrifying eye cancer diagnosis. As many as 36 who attended Auburn University have too. Former Huntersville Commissioner Rob Kidwell has pushed for funding to conduct tests, from digging into patients' past for links to testing the tissue of eye cancer tumors. Now he wants to check the environment.
So we've looked at genetics, we've looked at genome sequencing, we've looked at the hot spots where everybody interacted. So now it's time to act.
This weekend, scientists, doctors, patients, and families from around the country will gather in Raleigh to analyze this eye cancer. Kenny Colbert will be there.
I have no idea what she's thinking in heaven, but I think she's sitting there saying, Mom and Dad, go to it. You know, let's find something.
Hoping Keenan's death will help save someone else's life. And I also will be traveling to Raleigh on Saturday for this important ocular melanoma conference, and I'll bring you a report right here on Channel 9.
I know, Allison, you've done a lot of work to bring these family stories to light, and you've also been tracking an effort by the lawmakers there in Raleigh to get some answers to this eye cancer, too.
Yes, we're seeing action at the Capitol. Senate Bill 277 that was introduced would give $100,000 to the town of Huntersville to continue their research into what's causing ocular melanoma. And if you remember, a lot of health officials have been hesitant to call the eye cancer cases here a cluster. So Senate Bill 297 would create a research program to study if they in fact are.
Okay, hopefully they will get to the bottom of it. Thank you, Allison.
Well, the hospital we've all just called CMC for decades now has a new but somehow similar name. The flagship hospital in Dilworth will now be called Atrium Health's Carolina's Medical Center, and they put up a new sign right there. This is one of the most visual changes you'll see since Carolina's healthcare system rebranded itself as Atrium Health.
People called 911 to say that a man was screaming and knocking on their doors. A Watauga County deputy eventually shot and killed that man.
I just barely opened the door to see what he wanted because he was going, ah, ah, ah. He's walking up and down our road and screaming really loud.
Deputies responded to the Hardin Road area near Boone on Saturday night. They said they found Andrew Mason walking in the roadway. When Deputy Adam Gregg got out of his vehicle, they say that Mason attacked him. After a struggle, Deputy Gregg shot and killed Mason.
A man accused of keeping a teenager as a sex slave in Kings Mountain will likely stay in jail. A judge denied bond reduction for David Wolfington yesterday. He's accused of sexually assaulting a 15-year-old and keeping her under his control by restricting her basic needs. Our partners at the Gazette were at the hearing yesterday, and they say the DA revealed the girl's younger brother was kept in the basement, rarely fed and possibly tortured.
Pope Francis has named the new Catholic leader of the Archdiocese in Washington. Archbishop Wilton Gregory will now be in charge of one of the country's most politically important archdioceses. The former cardinal in charge, David Worrell, was implicated in a Pennsylvania grand jury report for helping to cover up for predator priests. The Catholic abuse scandal has impacted the Charlotte area too. It was just last week that the second highest figure at the Catholic Diocese of Charlotte stepped down over claims about sexual misconduct. Well, now advocates for victims are demanding that the names of every priest facing credible accusations be released. Tomorrow, we will get the newest jobs report and a better snapshot of the nation's economy. Economists are expecting to show a pretty solid rebound from February's relatively weak job gains, and they're predicting enough jobs were added to lower the unemployment rate. That optimism made its way onto Wall Street with the Dow soaring 166 points today. NASDAQ lost a few points, closing down 3 points today.
It's no secret opioids are killing a lot of people in North Carolina. Nearly 2,000 people died from the drugs in 2017. Today, reporter Gina Esposito heard one mother's plea as the state is launching a new effort to try to stop those overdose deaths.
You can't explain the pain. You know, it's always there. Our world's just changed.
Debbie Dalton lost her son Hunter to fentanyl 3 years ago, right after he graduated from UNC Charlotte and moved to Raleigh for his first job.
When I heard on the phone that my son had overdosed, I still am saying that, and I still can't believe that it happened.
Dalton started a foundation in her son's name, and today joined the state's new effort to prevent more people from losing their lives to drugs. The state launched a website called More Powerful NC, and there's resources here for people across North Carolina to get help.
It has ripped its way through our state, leaving a trail of death and destruction.
The state is launching ads like this one to encourage people to safely get rid of unneeded prescriptions.
Together, we can overpower this deadly epidemic and take back our communities.
On the healthcare side, Blue Cross Blue Shield says more than 1 million of their customers in the state have a behavioral health disorder. Now they're working to increase access and lower costs. Dalton says she wants the community to come together.
I know that he would be proud of his dad and me and his family and friends for trying to save lives.
In Uptown Charlotte, I'm Gina Esposito, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
Now, 2 weeks ago, CMPD told us that officers respond to at least 25 overdose calls every month.
Heart disease is the nation's #1 killer, and this weekend you can find out just how healthy your heart is. Piedmont Medical Center is doing free 15-minute heart screenings on Saturday. Staff will check your blood for cholesterol and sugar levels and then check your body mass index and your blood sugar. A hospital nurse told us this comes down to what we eat and how much we exercise.
We eat fast foods, we don't take care of ourselves. Heart disease is developing in children as early as age 12.
Wow, the free screenings will begin at 7:30 on Saturday morning at Piedmont Medical in Rock Hill. Scared at school, a local mother was so worried about her son that she decided she needed to know more.
I felt like there was something going on.
Only on 9, the unusual way that she managed to get the answers she was looking for.
Quite a wall of rain pushing our way. I'll be tracking the timing of it and also why some neighborhoods actually need that rainfall pretty badly.
The coal ash cleanup, no one wants to pay for it, but Duke Energy might raise your rates to try to get this done. The fight brewing in Raleigh to protect how much you pay.
Tonight, state lawmakers say they're getting ready for a fight. They want to stop Duke Energy from charging you to clean up their coal ash, and they hope a new bill will be all the ammunition they need.
You're going to have to fight Duke Power to get anything done about it.
Well, this bill had its first reading on the House floor today. This would prevent Duke from passing along that coal ash cleanup to customers.
Channel 9's Tina Terry talked to local lawmakers who say that you should not have to pay for that. Tina?
Oh yeah, guys, those lawmakers say that Duke Energy acted irresponsibly by storing coal ash at plants like this inside of unlined pits right next to our drinking water supply. Now, they say the company should foot the bill. Kenneth McJunkins and his wife have lived around the corner from Allen Steam Station nearly 50 years. He says Duke Energy should have known a state ruling forcing the company to move potentially dangerous coal ash was on the way.
They knew this was going to happen. They're still storing it out there now.
This state bill, co-sponsored by Mecklenburg County Representatives Christy Clark and Nassif Majid, says the Utilities Commission shall not allow an electric public utility to recover from the retail electric customers any cost related to the management of coal ash. On the phone today, Representative Clark said the bill makes sense and should gain bipartisan support.
So we need to remember that our #1 job is to protect the citizens of this state, and by doing this bill and passing it, that would be a first step in that direction regarding coal ash.
Duke advocated for a less expensive cleanup option, one it said would be just as safe. But Monday, the state mandated full excavation of those remaining coal ash basins. Duke has said that cost could be as much as $10.6 billion. Today, the company wouldn't comment on the bill, saying it doesn't get into specifics about pending legislation. McJunkins wants the bill to pass. He says it's worth a fight.
I think they should have to pay for it. Because we didn't do it. We didn't make that mess.
And that bill has about 13 sponsors. That primary sponsor told me that if it passes, Duke Energy could challenge this in court. Back to you.
Thank you, Tina. It might feel like Duke Energy is constantly asking for rate hikes, so Action 9's Jason Sturgenke put together a quick breakdown for us. Duke raised its rates last year. It wanted a 13% hike, but the North Carolina Utilities Commission told it to factor in the corporate tax cuts that had just passed. So most households paid less than 1% more. Well, Duke is now asking to raise rates to cover the cost of cleaning up last year's hurricanes as well as cleaning up the coal ash. We'll let you know what happens. And again, another gorgeous shot of the Queen City skyline, and our chief meteorologist Steve Udelson to tell you you have a great afternoon to get outside if you want to.
Yeah, Erica, and still about 2 hours of daylight. 74 Charlotte, Rockwell, Wadesboro, warm spots, Locust at 76. Good evening to Shelby, where we're 71 right now. Out Highway 9, Highway 74, mid-70s. Even the mountains are well into the 60s. Only Banner Elk checks in with 59 right now, lighting up the grill. Could it be more gorgeous for early April? Low humidity, a relatively light breeze, low 70s at 6, upper 60s at 8. Enjoy the evening. We do have some rain on the way, tracking those showers, getting close to the Atlanta metro, but the bulk of this system is still well to our south, and that's where I believe the heaviest rain will be, just south of the Charlotte area. You see the lightning counter. There's a lot of lightning in this. That too should pass to our south as we sleep tonight and very early tomorrow morning. There's your futurecast. Clouds thicken up. We are dry through 11 o'clock. It's the morning drive tomorrow that we'll start to see the rain. Here we are at 5 a.m. The showers move into the metro at 7 a.m. Everyone getting wet. And then even by 9 o'clock or so, there's some moderate to heavy rain. Charlotte south into the Midlands. So for the kids tomorrow, rain gear, a must, with temperatures holding in the 50s. Hey, at least it's mild. Not going to be dealing with the snow like we did a couple of days ago. Tomorrow's threat tracker, all about the rain chance, 100%. And that's good news for those that suffer from pollen, because boy, it's been a rough couple of weeks. This should wipe out some of the pollen. Doesn't last long. Futurecast pushes that rain out as we head toward lunchtime and into the afternoon. Not going to see much in the way of sun, but it will be certainly drier for the evening drive. Davidson reaches mid-60s. Hickory forecasting lower 60s with diminishing rain chance. Again, the next shot of rain comes our way on Monday and Tuesday of next week. Looks like we can enjoy a dry weekend. Believe it or not, we actually have drought creeping back to the Carolinas, the low country of South Carolina, and even into North Carolina, out by Wilmington. Unusually dry. Remember, these are the same areas hammered by Hurricanes Florence and Michael last fall. Incredible. So was our warmth through the weekend.
All right, looking like a pretty spring-like forecast.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, Steve.
$400 for school supplies going directly to each teacher sounds like a good idea, but CMS leaders are against it. How in this case they say the generosity is just a trick.
Some Charlotte families unable to get the help that they need when trying to do simple things like pay a bill. The new step the city is now considering to look out for immigrants.
It was a scary situation. A local man was sitting in traffic, and the next thing he knew, he was in the middle of a chain reaction car accident.
Now, he was not at fault, and fortunately, the driver who was at fault did have insurance, but that company was not going to pay up until Action 9 got involved.
It was November 15th in Granite, right down from Walmart.
Michael Cheek was stuck in traffic.
And then I heard a bam. Then I heard another bam. And then the third bam was me in the back. I sat there for a few minutes and got out and looked, and I was like, Lord have mercy. There was car parts just everywhere. All this was broken out. The windshield wiper was hanging, just flopping around. And
he took these pictures.
So it's $2,500 damage there.
The driver who caused the wreck had insurance, National General, but Cheek says the company was dragging its feet.
She said, well, it's probably going to take 6 months to a year before we can do anything. And I'm like, are you kidding me?
So he paid the $2,500 to fix his SUV himself. Then he started emailing complaints.
I contacted you folks, and I contacted the insurance commissioner in Raleigh. The insurance commissioner in Raleigh, I didn't get any results.
But Action 9 did get results. I emailed National General. It wouldn't discuss Cheek's case with me, but sent him this check fewer than 10 days later.
If you all had not gotten in touch with them, I think I'd been waiting a long, long time.
Now, Scott, the takeaway here, of course, is if you're in a wreck and you're not at fault, the other driver's insurance should pay up, but if it doesn't, you can ask your own insurance to cover the damage, but you have to have collision insurance, not just liability.
Of course, anytime there's a wreck, whether you're at fault or not, people worry, is my premium going to go up? Could it?
And actually it could. Even though it's not your fault, it's a chance. You really have to check with your insurance. They vary, and of course, if you don't like that option, you could always sue the other driver, but that can be pretty costly, may not be worth it financially, and I'll tell you, those can be pretty hard cases to prove.
Yeah, $2,500 probably wouldn't get you too far with an attorney. when you might just say fix it.
Exactly.
All right, Jason, thanks.
Sure.
An incredible story to report as Channel 9 just got a major donation for our Books for Kids drive. Today, volunteers from Wells Fargo dropped off 1,000 books. The employees collected them as part of their own literacy program. And when they found out that we were teaming up with the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Library to put more books into the hands of local children in our community, they wanted to help.
Literacy helps to build communication skills. It helps to build listening skills for our children, and that in turn leads to understanding through literacy, and knowledge is power.
You can donate as well to our 9 Books for Kids drive through April the 12th. Drop off all new and used books at any Charlotte-Mecklenburg library.
3 armed robberies from South End to Uptown in the past week.
They put guns up to her head, screamed at us.
One victim's quick thinking that may have helped police find the suspects in her case.
2 teachers at this elementary school are out of the classroom after a mother told police they threatened, harassed, and grabbed her 8-year-old son who has special needs.
It's horrifying. I mean, it just breaks my heart.
The unusual steps she took to get information because her son is nonverbal.